Everyone, and welcome back to part 2 of the programs on the 23rd of July. And it's 2022, of course. And now we are doing the Cascades from Mount Shasta north. We've already covered Mount Lassen in the previous program, and actually we could Shasta as well, but we'll just recap Mount Shasta and move north. Before we begin, all of our programs are dedicated to our Heavenly Father service, and we will again give thanks and ask for protection for this program. Heavenly Father, we do rely on you for protection. We thank you for your great love for us, that you gave your Son, went through the suffering with him on the cross, knowing all that he knows, feeling all that he feels, that you two have that close of a relationship, that one is so much aware of what the other one is going through. So we thank you for this great sacrifice. We thank you, Jesus, for that sacrifice as well, that you would do this, that we would have a way to go home to heaven, all of us. We thank you for that path to salvation through your blood, your sacrifice for us, your death sacrifice, and you rose again. We thank you. We thank you, Holy Spirit, for great love for us, that you guide us and direct us also in understanding all things, and you bring the gifts that Father sends to us. As we grow and learn, you bring further gifts by the grace of God. We thank you for all of these things. We thank you for the understandings that we have in this program. Just a little tired, and it's showing just slightly above average levels of activity at the bottom, so that was this morning. All right. And we're carrying on up to Crater Lake. This was yesterday. And yesterday was actually that was yesterday morning at Mount Shasta. I was recording that yesterday. This is a Crater Lake activity. We can see a period of major infill with a lot of fracturing. Okay, so yesterday with the solar activity, I believe it's related, we had quite a bit of uplift fracturing at Crater Lake, a very active reawakening volcano. And we go north to Cinnamon Butte, and we can see evidence of the infill here in uplift fracturing. This is an uplift fracturing signal here. This is a smaller one here. But there's tremors throughout, and then bigger periods of uplift fracturing. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 significant periods of uplift fracturing, and then many more smaller ones as well throughout the second half of the seismogram. And this is from north of Crater Lake, and Crater Lake itself sits in a volcanic field. It's not a volcano by itself, it's in a field. And so this is a butte north of Crater Lake as part of that same volcanic field. All interrelated. This is of Cinnamon Butte and south of Newberry at Surveyor's Cave, and we see activity in the same period. Last half of the seismogram is the busier part. This is uplift fracturing again. These are steam releases in some cases, and there are also some fault fracturing involved in this. It's very hard on this seismogram to differentiate the steam releases, but I believe this is a couple of them here, a single strike here, another one here, and so some of these will be rock fracturing, some of these will be steam releases, but regardless, it's indications of magma infill, and we can see the heavier lines showing the magma infill coming in, and then the associated uplift fracturing, and potentially some steam burst signals deep underground. Okay. And Newberry itself was not that busy, so I didn't save a seismogram for Newberry, but I did go north of Newberry. Now, if we see activity uplift fracturing north and south, that means there's inflation over a wide area of the field, volcanic field. Again, that's associated with Newberry craters. And Astronaut Butte is a volcanic extension, part of that field that supports Newberry craters. So here we are at Astronaut Butte to the north, and a long period of uplift fracturing here, and quite significant in size. We have some smaller long period fracturing sessions here. We can see that magma infill is earlier at this site. We can see some small amounts of uplift fracturing here, and longer periods, lower amplitude uplift fracturing in here as well. There's one here, and one there, and then this is the major one here. There's also another small one here. There's a lot of activity, uplift fracturing around Newberry, and at times at Newberry crater itself. Mount Hood remains around Mount Hood, and this is the only site that was fairly active. This is the Timberline site, and we see a period of very significant magma infill. It's significant in that, not that it's such high amplitude, but there's so much of it. So that's a long period. These are, let's see, these are, half hour per line. And so we've got, this is almost half the seismogram. So this is something like 9 hours of infill on the seismogram. So that's significant. It wasn't high level infill, otherwise we would have seen a lot more uplift fracturing. But there was significant activity. Mount St. Helens from September lobe, and we're going to come back to Mount St. Helens view looking through PNSN as well. But first we'll use the USGS sites, and this is another one of the USGS seismograms, and it shows the activity, lots of small earthquakes and uplift fracturing from September lobe at Mount St. Helens, and this is up in the crater area. Now north of Mount St. Helens at Trade Dollar Lake, this is a volcanic lake. This is all steam releases through here. All of these fine line areas, these are all steam releases. These are all steam releases down here. This, I believe, is just an extraneous signal, magma churn, some such thing. But these are the important ones to look at here. There's magma infill along here. You can see the heavier lines, and then you can see the hours of steam releases right on top of each other, one after the other. There's hundreds of steam burst signals through here, and when water flashes to steam rising up from deep in the magma, it creates like a small explosion, and that's what causes these spikes. So explosions deep underneath. We can confirm that northwest, and this is southwest of Trade Dollar Lake. We're at the Elk Rock site. The rock site is associated with that same magma chamber deep underground that's blowing off steam north of Mount St. Helens. So Mount St. Helens isn't the only magma location of magma in the area. Trade Dollar Lake is very active as well. And looking and just have a look at the timing of this. It begins to be busy here at 12:15. Okay, so that's right there, just above the heaviest line. We look at the Elk site. It's 12:15 right there. Now look at Mount Rainier, Emerald Ridge, and see the activity. It's earlier. Where are we here? 2, 3, 4. Well, it's earlier. It's earlier in the day, but it's in the upper part of the seismogram. So this activity was busier ahead of time at Mount Rainier. Anyway, a lot of steam release activity. I thought these three were directly related, but actually the times later. I picked up the seismogram a little bit later in the day. So regardless, this is a lot of steam release activity from Mount Rainier, Emerald Ridge also. And this is about 10 miles south of Glacier Peak. This is north of Leavenworth, up at the Tall Timber Ranch. And lots of uplift fracturing here, lots of small earthquakes as well. Tremors, small earthquakes, lots of magma-related movement at a site that's not a well-known volcanic site, but it's active. This is Mount Baker, greatly turned down. This is so incredibly turned down, I can't even explain it. But despite that, we're getting some steam release signals from Mount Baker. And these are huge steam release signals to get through this seismogram that's only producing about 2 to 5% of true amplitude. Okay, it's really, really undervalued. And I watched over the years as they turned Mount Baker down after it went from being the most active volcano in the Cascade Range down to what they're showing now. Now, in the area of Rainier, by the way, is hard to look at activity through most of the sites. There's only a few that represent it well, even though it's got about 12 sites in and around it, seismograms. But they're manipulated so bad it's hard to pick up the activity. But we can look to other sites through the Cascades and see what the activity is like there, and that will give us an indication of overall activity in the Cascade Range. And that's why we look at places like Sugarloaf Mountain, and this is southeast of Glacier Peak. And we can see there's significant activity in the mountain, and this is using a channel that doesn't display the typical activity, but these deflections, upward deflections of the waveform, indicate significant magnitude, and this elevated activity in here is related to tremors. Okay. And due east of Glacier Peak at Nelson Butte, we see there's some small earthquakes, and this is a 3.0 at near Othello, East Washington. But here at Nelson, we're seeing again the deflection, upward deflection of the line is because of the channel that I've selected here, and it shows that there's ongoing shifting movement, lower amplitude, or not very low frequency, but low frequency movement through here, indicating there's a lot of magma movement at Nelson Butte. And this is a different channel, same seismogram, Nelson Butte, but this is just to show the earthquakes better, and it shows them more clearly here. So this seismogram on this channel shows the magmatic movement better, the crustal waves. This channel shows the earthquakes better, and that's the benefit of switching channels at some of these sites. And this is a continuation of the activity at Leavenworth, or north of Leavenworth, south of Glacier Peak. There's just more earthquakes showing up down the bottom, so I included it. Now, we're going over to the coast, and this is a few miles east of Ocean Park and Long Beach in Washington. And there's quite a large number of tremors. Now look at the baseline. You see almost no activity on the baseline. So this site is turned down, and so the amplitude of these signals is lower. Now they'll randomly turn up one higher. You can see that the baseline value is turned up all the way through here. Well, they've got a computer algorithm that keeps changing the baseline value. You see it ends here at a high activity level, and then it starts right here. 1 second later, it's at a very low activity, and then here it comes to a moderate activity, and here it comes to the correct amplitude. It just keeps changing. It keeps changing that baseline value at the end of the hour, and because of that's done with a computer algorithm. That's the only way to do that. There's not somebody getting it exactly right on the hour that it changes the baseline. So it's automatically switching the amplitude on the seismogram. Very unfortunate that they mess with things like that. Anyway, this is east, a lot of tremor and reportable earthquake activity east of Ocean Park and Long Beach in Washington. That's the point of that. And here we see the same thing happening from the Willapa Harbor Golf Course. This is in the same area. The tremors are the same size as what we see from the NEMA site that I showed you above. Again, we've got baseline manipulation of this one. And the true amplitude of this is at least twice as large as what is being displayed. In most cases, because there's variations line per line. This is northeast of Mount Rainier. This is called Panhandle Gap, and a very active location with a lot of baseline deflection vertically on the BHN channel of the site, and that's indicating a lot of magma movement in the area. It's constant throughout the page, so that's magma movement. And here we see the same thing, same type of activity. Okay, this is from Mount Rainier near the base at the Gateway site. And so this is a southwest entrance to the park, I believe. And we can see it was busier late last night and then busier this morning again. Actually, no, this is yesterday. This is all yesterday. So yesterday morning and then yesterday into the afternoon. And this is Sugar Bowl at Mount St. Helens this morning. And very active site. Lots of baseline deflection, lots of tremors. And we saw this when we looked at the September lobe site for USGS, looking at yesterday's seismogram. Well, this is today's seismogram from PNS, looking at the same type of activity, same general location. And this is from the St. Helens, the spider seismogram that they drop in with a helicopter right on the rising dome. And so this shows that it's a very active rising infilling dome. That's not a surprise. That's what we know is happening at Mount St. Helens, that it's rebuilding its dome and that it has associated activity. What that allows us to do is we can take this activity, which we know is from an active volcano with a building dome, and this is right in the dome area, and we can transfer this information, do a comparative analysis with previous sites, and we can determine that Panhandle Gap, for instance, this is all magma related. It's by comparative analysis that you can yourselves make a determination of what the signals mean. Now, north of Mount St. Helens, we were talking about the steam signals from Trade Dollar Lake, and here they are right here, shown on a different seismogram type. Okay. Now we're going to central Washington, but east of the Cascades, just in the foothills, Chelan Butte in Washington, and here we have the tremors of fault movement and some uplift. Plus, we see those wavy lines on the HHN channel of magma movement at Chelan Butte. So now we're in the eastern Cascade Range and seeing the magma movement there. It's significant. And this is in Ephrata, Washington, and I just thought I'd show this. This just happened earlier this morning while I was picking this up. Small earthquake there, but we're seeing a lot of low frequency movement through there as well. You can see this line is just working its way along here, all in a low frequency vibration with high frequency mixed into it. That's why it's a thickened line. This is Table Mountain in the eastern Cascade foothills of Washington, just north of Ellensburg. This is producing a tremendous number of steam burst signals. It's also got a lot of tremors, but you can certainly see the steam burst signals, and I believe we're seeing elevated lines of magma infill as well. So Table Mountain, a volcanic area again. And in Ellensburg itself, the earthquakes continue there as well as the tremors. This is from this morning. So there's lots of earthquakes in Ellensburg that continues to be unreported. Many tremors and small earthquakes in Othello. Okay, so we're looking at today, they had a 3.0 in the Othello area yesterday. That was reported by PMSN, showing on other seismographs. But you can see there's lots of tremors and small earthquakes in the Othello region. Sunnyside, Washington, north of Hanford, north edge of Hanford, and through here. There was multiple other sites that are showing this as well. So this is a confirmed signal, or a signal that I've confirmed, as showing heavy activity from midnight till just about 6 in the morning. And in East Hanford, we saw many tremors throughout the day, since, this is 5 o'clock yesterday, so built up, and after 5 o'clock this morning there was an increase. So Hanford's a busy area as well. This is small earthquakes and low amplitude ground waves in Starbuck, Washington. So we see either deeper or more distant waves of magma movement. And this isn't, and there's quite a few small earthquakes and tremors as well. Finney Hills shows even more tremors. It's right beside the fault of the Columbia River, and so it's showing fault movement along the Columbia River, but it's also showing some magma-related activity, as the Columbia River in the past was a magma channel, and is again, according to the indications of seismograms. And this is also along the Columbia River, and this is showing stronger evidence of magma movement along the Columbia River. This shows a signal that is very reminiscent of which volcano, folks? How about Mount Shasta? You look at these signal types, do a comparative analysis with Mount Shasta, and you'll find they're very much the same. Let's do that right now, because right at the front of the channel, what have we got? Our front of this program is Mount Shasta. And that means it's only going to take us a minute to get there. There we are. Mount Shasta, we know, is a reactivating volcano. That's why these signals are there. We see these types of signals here. And we go with other sites, do a comparative analysis, and then we can provide a conclusion based on the analysis. Here we're back at Patterson. This is actually bigger than Mount Shasta. Volcanic site, fault, previously a magma channel along the Columbia River based on flood basalts and those flood basalt deposits. This is proven science. And here it is back again, behaving as giving the seismic behavior signals of magma movement along the Columbia River again. Now, the Columbia River, this may have moved, and likely has moved its course from where it was in ancient times when it created the flood basalt, I think it was 15 million years ago. Because producing all of that is going to just change fault names in the same place. And this is indicating that we're very much over the fault, or very close to the fault, close proximity to the fault, to get this size of a signal at this site. The activity at nearby Yellow Pit confirms what we see. This is also along the Columbia River, and this confirms what we see at Patterson. Okay, very similar activity. This is today versus yesterday, but it's very similar activity in type. Criterion Ridge. There, just to look at the tremor levels, and there's times when PNSN says, oh, there's only been 152 tremors, and they're all along the coast every time, or on the west side of the Cascades. Well, they ignore places like Criterion Ridge, which is loaded with tremors pretty much every day. So we get a few hundred tremors every day from Criterion Ridge. How many other sites have we shown you with lots of tremors? This is not quite so busy at IZ, but these are all tremors. You know, there's probably another 50 tremors down in this area, another 20 or so up there, so maybe 70 tremors there. And we get to Jordan Valley in southeast Oregon, and this isn't even a full day, and we've got, you know, in excess of 300 tremors at Jordan Valley. In Jordan Valley, this tremor level probably relates to the Snake River Fault System, which connects to the Columbia River Fault System. And it's through interconnected faults that we would get magma movement all the way to Jordan Valley like this. This is quite a distance away. So that's Eastern Washington and Oregon that we've covered now. And next we're going to get into and the activity of the Alaska volcanoes. And I've got seismograms for most of those. And then we're going to get over to our next program. And after that, we're going to get into central U.S. and work our way across there. So we've got quite a day planned here, catching up on a lot of activity, let you see what's really going on in the world, at least in your neighborhood, depending on where you're from. And by covering all of this, everybody will be up to date, and that's a good thing. And then I'll be going back to work on further projects. I'm afraid I'm having to do a big blitz of seismology here for you, presenting activities so that you're up to date, and I can carry on with the major projects that we have going here. All right, so that's the intent of what's going on now. And I appreciate that many of you have stayed with. I don't think I've produced any programs, or we've produced any programs for over a month, yet our subscriptions are still up much the same. We've got some very loyal listeners, knowing that we would come back and give you good information. We appreciate you staying and waiting for us. And it's going to be good to get into comments and respond to the comments that we have coming in as well. And it's always good to chat with you folks from all over the world. And so we'll see you next time on Feed My Sheep, Earthquake Reports, and more. And that should be just a little bit later today. All right. So we'll see you then. You take care, and bye for now.